Welcome to Her Real Estate Journey, the podcast where we celebrate and empower women in real estate. I'm your host, Lisa Dillon. Each week, we'll delve into their journeys from the struggles they've faced to the glories they've achieved. Our guests are rock star women agents who are sharing their experiences, insights, and advice to help you succeed in your own real estate career. Whether you're a seasoned professional or just starting out, this podcast is for you. Together, we'll explore the highs and lows of the real estate industry, learn from each other's experiences, and build a supportive community of women who are making their mark. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Let's get started. Hey, we are here with Anna Olin today on Her Real Estate Journey. Anna Olin is a real estate developer in Las Vegas. Super excited. A little bit different topic here today for our show. She's the owner of Z Life, has a partner, Weena Zhang, and we're going to be meeting her later on in a different episode. But just super excited. Another powerful woman to talk to today. And
Great.
welcome, Anna. I'm excited to have
Yeah.
you.
Thanks, Lisa. No, I'm really excited to be here and kind of, share this side of the journey, in real estate development. And I really hope, more women can listen to this and really be inspired to, enter the real estate market at any level, whether that's from real estate sales, at an agent level, development or construction. I really hope that, kind of like my story and what Weena and I are doing in developing Las Vegas, can kind of become a model for more women to get, involved in this industry.
That is so awesome. So tell me a little bit how'd you get started in this path?
Yeah, so actually my background is in construction. So I started in my early 20s. I actually started working for Weena. So Weena was actually my boss, now business partner, but she was my boss. She had partnered actually with my uncle to start a commercial glazing contracting company. So as a subcontractor, she developed this company that was importing unitized curtain wall systems from overseas, which is the first to be done. It was the first kind of groundbreaking innovation in this field specifically, for her. And unitized curtain wall, which if the audience isn't familiar, those are basically prefabricated window systems that you see all over the high rises. So every time you go see a high rise and it's covered in glass, it's typically a type of curtain wall system. And there's different ways
Okay.
to build those systems, and one of them is to sort of prefabricate those in a factory off-site, and then install them as one unit on site. So we had started that company back in 2005, and I joined her in 2006.
Okay.
Um, and we started in Las Vegas. Weena had a lot of connections with different architects and development groups in Las Vegas. So we did the curtain wall systems on a number of the high-rise projects out there, including the Fountain Blue, that was 1 million square feet of glass.
Wow.
Tower 3, the World Market Center. So we did a lot of stuff up and down the strip, all over Las Vegas. We ended up doing work all over the country. So we ended up doing work in San Francisco as well, including the Salesforce Tower at 350 Mission. We did some R&D work for the New World Trade Center in New York. We did projects in Hawaii and Cayman Islands. Became really, really successful. We were one of the top 3 contractors for this type of work in the country. We ended up, creating our own union installation company to accompany this. So we did the whole gambit. And after 15 years really of watching all of these owners and contractors and design teams make these horribly expensive mistakes in design, we thought instead of building for other people that we could actually start our own company and start our own kind of development process to help streamline and make construction more efficient and less costly. So that was in 2017. We ended up closing the subcontracting company, and we started Z Life Company, which is now our ground up real estate company. And what Weena and I did with Z Life is we actually took the concept of unitized curtain wall systems and we applied that to the structural building components of construction. So we actually developed a system with our structural engineer that uses light gauge structural framing. Light gauge framing is all over construction. It's widely used, but it's not used very often in a structural sense. And so we actually created our own system that uses light gauge framing in a structural sense. We unitize and panelize the wall systems to create our own, construction methodology and our own construction method to build this. And we've actually been able to now reduce the cost of construction between 30 and 40% overall. And we reduced also the timing of construction now
Wow.
from about 40% from what it would be under a traditional building. So we became innovators really in the construction industry, to kind of, create our own footprint and our own identity here. And so that's where we are now. And we have a large master plan. Like you mentioned, Midtown is actually a larger master plan developed by Weena and I in the Las Vegas Arts District, that we're breaking ground on next year.
That's impressive. 30 to 40%.
Mhm.
I mean, that's just being in construction. Like I've flipped several houses, but you're definitely right. I had looked in the notes when I learned about you, and they said, that you're definitely obviously in a male dominated.
Very
Did,
much so.
did you have, I know your background is in construction. How did you get into construction to begin with?
So when Weena started her company, she needed bodies, right? That's when you call up all of your family and friends. And so I was recruited. My brother ended up working for the company as well. And so I really came in at entry level. My background was really business and banking. So I mean, I have a business degree. I
Okay.
ended up getting a professional certificate in construction estimating. And that's really where I started estimating side, and then I moved in from estimating the projects to project managing them to now being the COO of really the operational side.
Oh my goodness. I'm like so blown away. You just look at these big tall buildings in Vegas and I would not even know where to start. So that's to me very intimidating. A lot of stuff you're just intimidated and you just do it. So
Yeah, I mean, it was really hard.
that's
It
awesome.
is a really obviously a male-dominated field, but the thing is, like what we were seeing is so many of the mistakes that were happening in construction and the stuff that was costing so much money, right? Is everything that happens at the end of the job. It's kind of whoever gets left holding the bag, ends up, paying the most, right? And if we really thought about it because we're involved so early in construction when we do the window design, if they had just made the changes early on, it would have saved so much in, later, value engineering and change orders and everything that comes with that. I mean, it was really kind of the aha moment of, wow, if you guys actually just like spent a little bit more time up front, making this more efficient, you would save so many millions of dollars at the end. So it was really just trying to, create our own path in the industry, but also like making it more efficient. Like we look at every process and say, okay, what can we do to make this system better and make this more efficient? Whereas I think in the industry, there's just this like blatant, like, well, we're just going to do the same thing we've done every year forever and ever because that's how it's always been done. And there hasn't been really enough innovation on the processes side when it comes to design and in early development stages that help the whole process go through the whole process.
It's kind of I just thought of like what my dad always says, measure twice, cut once. So it's kind of
Right,
like if
right,
you do
yeah,
all the work up front, it totally saves you in the end.
yeah.
Wow. So, okay. So as far as your upscale buyers
Hmm.
related, what is like in the luxury market? You had talked about redefining, what does upscale mean now? What are those luxury buyers looking for?
Yeah, so what we've been able to do is, our building system, a lot of people have looked at us or come to us and said, "Oh my gosh, you can save all this money. You're building this great system. You should be doing affordable housing." And I'll make it very clear, our product is not affordable housing product, and it is lot low income. But what we've been able to do now is that we can build luxury at a more inclusive level. So what I like to tell people when I tell our agents, like when they're selling our condo units, are I can build you a condo that's worth $1 million. I can sell it to you for $800,000 and I can still walk away with a 40% profit on it. That is our model that we're trying to sell. So what we're trying to do
Okay.
is bring product down to a level that upper middle class can actually enter into it, and you don't luxury doesn't need to be $3 million or even $1 million. You can get luxury product now at between, $600,000, $700,000, and be able to, I mean, one, it helps build, equity and eventually generational wealth for you, at a much
Yeah.
earlier stage, right, in the process. And we look at a lot of people that are trying to enter into like the urban housing market. There's a lot of singles, a lot of, second time, lifers that are coming, the empty nesters that are coming in. We see that that demographic of people trying to enter the market coming in at a younger age and then coming in, at really different stages of life. So we look at the people that are out of college but not ready to settle in the suburbs. A lot of those people, they want to have kind of this urban life and they want to have a great quality of life, but they don't necessarily want to drop $2 million on a condo. So if you can come into that market and buy one for $650,000, and you're single or maybe you have a partner but you guys haven't settled down and decided to have kids yet, this is a great investment option. It's a great way for them to kind of enter into the market.
That is so interesting. I'm in Southwest Mississippi, so my highest price point ever was, I think, 550. So
Well,
I've
like in
never.
Vegas, we're competing a lot with like Los Angeles and San Francisco. So
Yes.
for any of your viewers that are like familiar with those markets, understanding that this is like a huge deal.
Yes. Oh,
But I think
yes.
even like Miami, could you imagine moving into Miami and being able to move into a luxury thing and not having to pay necessarily, $1 million for it? That would be a great, opportunity for people.
So it's giving you a wider pool as far as who agents are working with. It's giving them
Hmm.
a much better product
Yeah.
to work with. So are you, I know you said you're trying to get nationwide, but
Mhm.
trying to think, are you Northeast? Are you Chicago yet? Are you just
We're
trying?
focused really on the West Coast right now. So
Okay.
our Vegas plan is really for the next, probably about 5 years. We're really focused in finishing out Vegas. And then
Okay.
we have locations already kind of tagged for our next, venture out, which will include like Utah, Idaho. So we're slowly kind of moving east, but we've been focused in the West Coast market right now.
Okay. And your manufacturing, where does that happen?
So it actually happens all on site. So we actually set up our
Okay.
own assembly line, on site to build our wall systems and create our specific, like construction method. We built the English Hotel, which is in Las Vegas. It's a Marriott tribute hotel, and it's off strip. It's one of the few actual boutique hotels in. It's located in the Arts District, and it was an absolute pain in the ass to get underwritten. We had a horrible, horrible time, trying to underwrite this hotel off strip, right? And then we broke ground 2 months before before the pandemic hit, and we did all the construction over the COVID pandemic, and it was sort of like the nightmare scenario for builders, right? And projects were folding up left and right. But we were able to, one, hold on to the property. We built the entire hotel in less than 8 months. So that was from
Wow.
groundbreaking to top out and enclosed, in less than eight.
Wow.
We were able to prove that our construction methodology works. This is why it was so important. And we did it with all of the challenges during COVID, supply chain, financing, you name it. I couldn't buy mattresses for 8 months. It was like, it was ridiculous. But we were able to do that. And so it was funny because when we were developing this construction method, we always said, this should be a recession-proof model. And then the pandemic hit. So now we tell everyone it's a pandemic-proof model. Uh, but it just goes to show that, one, the quality of our product is so good. When we were first underwriting the hotel project, it wasn't actually a flagged Marriott property yet. It was actually supposed to be an independent brand. And then when the pandemic happened and the banks were drying up and nobody was lending money, especially to get out of a construction loan for a product like this, Marriott and Hilton both came to my property and both wanted it. They wanted it. The construction and the quality of the project was so good that even during a pandemic, hotels are closing left and right. Marriott actually gave us key money to keep and open and franchise that hotel. So that just goes to show kind of the quality level that our product can help produce. And why, like I say, that this is a luxury product. And even though this is extremely like cost efficient and a cost savings model, it isn't designed for like low income or anything. It's designed to make the luxury market more inclusive.
Gotcha. That's just Okay, so as far as Vegas, how is Vegas transitioning more from a party town to a cultural
Yeah.
or is
Yeah, Vegas, I mean, it really is crazy if anyone's been out there like recently. Vegas has always been known for its kind of party scene and the nightclubs and the gambling, of course. And it's making such a drastic turn into being more welcoming for families. They've got sports teams. When they say the entertainment capital of the world now, it's not just in gambling and in gaming and that type of stuff. It's the sports teams, it's the art, it's the culinary. It's really becoming an epicenter for a much wider, broader scheme of lifestyle. And it's still the fastest growing city really in the West Coast. There's still a lot of people moving out from California to Las Vegas for tax advantages. Originally, it was really the tax advantages that were driving people, but now you're seeing people actually move out there because it is such a cool lifestyle to have. You have the greatest restaurants. Every Michelin chef has a restaurant in Las Vegas, right? You have the world-class entertainment. Now you've got the sports teams. There's almost no reason not to go out and to move to Las Vegas. So we're seeing a lot of people move to Las Vegas, not necessarily because of an income restriction or California is so expensive, but they're actually moving there because it's like cool to live there now. Like it's an actual drivable, like it has its own gravitational pull for residents.
well, and I know that their price points have gone way, way up. Where you used to be able to, I've had
Yeah.
people tell me you used to be able to buy a normal house for, I don't know, 125,000 and now they're
Yeah.
a million plus.
Yeah, I mean, the market's grown a lot too. I mean, what we focused on is, I mean, Vegas has been known for its suburban sprawl. I mean, there's so much land. So for the last, 20, 30 years, everyone was developing outwards. We're looking at developing really inwards and kind of building the urban density that's needed in downtown. So right now in downtown Las Vegas alone, it's short for about 4,000 residents. Our Midtown master plan is supposed to be providing 3,000 residential units for that downtown over the next 5 to 7 years. So we're really focused on trying to bring people back to that city life and that urban density, and kind of give Vegas that 15-minute city like feel again, that urban like walkability that you would have if you were in San Francisco or Santa Monica or some of the other places. So it's really kind of bringing Vegas up into the next level of on par with all the other metro areas of New York and Chicago and everything that has excellent public transit. You can it's not Minneapolis, you can walk almost every day of the year if you need
Right.
to. And then now for us to provide really the urban density that it needs.
Now, this is probably just how many condos would be in a high rise, just a
Oh, I
roundabout.
mean, you can get anything from, so all of our construction is focused on mid-rise level. So we're not actually, I did high rise for a long time. I mean, they look beautiful from the outside. But we focus for our development and our construction methodology really in the mid-rise. So we have about 100 units depending, on the size of the lot. But you look at some of these other high rises, they can have anywhere between 2 to 300 units out there. In Las Vegas, in downtown Las Vegas, there hasn't been a new condo tower in over 20 years. So we're actually building the first new condo tower there in over 20 years for downtown Las Vegas, which is really a big deal for the city.
What, now how many floors is it? Just so I
So
can get a,
yeah, so it's total of 8 floors. So the first
oh,
two
wow.
floors, yeah, first two floors would be
Okay.
commercial, retail, amenity programming, and then the 6 floors above that would be units.
Wow. Okay. I was just expecting a bigger number because you said 100 units on 6 floors.
Mhm.
Wow. Okay. Okay. They're pretty packed.
Yep. So again, this is all designed really for urban density. So these aren't really
Yes.
large. I mean, these aren't 3,000 square foot penthouses that you're seeing. I mean, this is really like when you want to live in the city, it's kind of that more minimalistic lifestyle. I mean, think about what you need to live in Manhattan or Chicago or London. I mean, some of those, when you think about really the big cities, people that want that lifestyle are comfortable living in smaller spaces. So it's been really easy for us to sell that. I mean, when we were first pitching this to the agents, they're they're looking at it, it's like, oh my God, it's way too small. I can't believe it. But we found out like, no, there's actual people out there that they don't want to clean a 4,000 square foot house, right? They would rather, that's what I'm saying. It's the demographic that this is really designed for is second generation, starters. So people that have the empty nest, kids have moved out. What are you going to do with 6 bedrooms? I mean, you don't need all the maintenance and everything
Right.
that comes with owning that big house. They don't need that, and they are still very active. They want, a fulfilling, lifestyle. They want to be able to be in the city and do stuff. And then it's the people that haven't settled into that suburban life yet. People that are in between that. Maybe they've got a really great career and they don't want to have kids and be tied down to that, but they want to have an active lifestyle and be able to walk to their coffee shops and be able to walk to entertainment and to the bars and everything. So we're providing that product now for Las Vegas.
That is awesome. So on these units, are you working with one listing agent or is this
Yeah, so this is we're listed with Berkshire Hathaway, their home
okay?
services in Nevada.
Okay, good deal. But okay, this is all new to me. I have nothing like this where I live. So, um, for me, it's normal to have acreage. So,
Yeah, it's a really different product, but I mean, I think it's important
yes,
to, I mean, to know that this product is really
interesting.
coming out there because it's changing stuff. And, I mean, I'm hoping
Yes.
that this, encourages people to really look at, I mean, for us, we focus in urban development, but I hope people look at like, build to rent models and how that might change, the landscape and, other multifamily product and how, really simple innovations can have, meaningful change on the market. Um, it just takes one person to go out and take that risk and make that change.
This is so cool. So, do you think that any of these units will be bought by investors for short-term, mid-term, long-term rental or
Yeah, I think, and we've designed products specifically for that. So we have a condo hotel product that is be specifically for investors. The city of Las Vegas has restrictions on short-term rentals, so like Airbnb
okay.
and Vrbo, and I know a lot of other cities are adopting similar to that. So the whole buy to rent investment property, matrix is changing a bit for people, but it's making product like condo hotels to more viable and that really being the investment opportunity for people.
Okay, but they're not necessarily like a timeshare type hotel.
It's not a timeshare, so
No.
it's a condo unit. I mean, it's purchased just like a condo. You own the thing. You have the option to
Gotcha.
put it into a hotel pool basically that rents it out for you under the hotel license. And then we offer a 60/40 split with the owners of the condo for that.
Interesting. Okay. Okay, so let's talk a little more about leadership, your role being a woman and being how I know at some point you were scared. How did you overcome that? I'm sure you were.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it was, I mean, having a great partner. So having, I think, another female partner was, I mean, really critical in kind of squashing any kind of fear there. But a lot of it was just not relying on the typical processes, methods that had been driving the industry. So obviously, being a woman in development, you've got to do something different to make your name for yourself, or you're going to get
Mhm.
written off. And our big thing is, we've got to make money. We've got to make lots of money. I mean, that's why we're all here
Right,
and we have jobs, right?
right.
And so really driven by that, how do we make more money? Well, we've got to make construction more efficient. How do we make construction more efficient? Well, we've got to streamline these processes, A, B, and C. So we really looked at that. And money equals power and money gets you influence at the table. So I mean, now that we're able to sit at the table with other developers and other people in the industry, we've been able to, I think, hold our own, and people are now calling us for, advice and partnerships and everything. So it's really changed from being the lowly subcontractor to now kind of being in charge.
That's awesome. I know it's fairly easy to rise to the top in real estate as a woman because so many women are I mean, we're pretty powerful, but in
Yeah.
construction, you're one of a few.
Yeah, yeah, and I think there's a lot of great, uniqueness about being a woman in developer, being a woman developer. I mean, I was called as a builder developer since our background is really from the construction side. We're intimately involved in obviously the build of it.
Mhm.
But a lot of things I was speaking at a conference a few weeks ago, and someone had asked me, what about you being a woman makes you kind of special in this industry? And I said, one
Mhm.
thing was what I think about is security is an example I use. So as a woman, I'm an avid runner. I run marathons. I train for stuff. I run
Awesome.
long distances. I enjoy it. I do it all the time. So I run a lot outside, and I run through parks and public spaces and anywhere basically I can. But as a woman runner, I am more likely to be assaulted during a run than if I was a male. That's just the point of it. I think it's
Perfect.
50% more likely that I will be assaulted running by myself than a male runner, which is really sad, but that's maybe just the world that we live in. So that's something I have to think about every day. I have to be so aware of, my surroundings and what's going on around me, just naturally, just how I live my life, nothing to do with construction. But it's that experience and that kind of mindset. So when I start planning multifamily and I start planning, master plan developments, I'm already thinking about, well, how am I using this space and how am I going to feel safe in this space? So sometimes like those experiences that we don't even realize actually influence how we're building and planning and designing spaces and public access and visibility, that's different than if I would think if I were a male. So I think there are a lot of experiences, as a female in this industry and that any female, I think in any industry, can really lean into, that they provide that's different and unique.
That's interesting. I'm just like mainly thinking of entryways and elevator space and stair
Yeah,
space and the hidden spaces
right,
that
right.
you try to, make them more visible and safer.
Yeah, it's the thing about like the lighting and then like what is the visibility around
Yes.
corners and stuff. I mean, and I'm not saying to male, industry leaders that safety isn't important to them, but understanding my personal experience with that and how much front of mind it is to me, it's naturally going to come out as I start planning, developments and design and space, public space, even, interior design. I
Right.
one thing I show is we have these really large master closets in our condo designs. And I always tell everybody, you can tell this is designed by a woman because the bathroom is really, really small and the closet is really, really huge. And I was
Yeah.
like, I don't want to clean a giant bathroom every day, but I would love to have a giant closet. So I mean, those kinds
Yes.
of, I mean, there really are a lot of unique aspects about being a woman in this industry and having this role, this influence, to, sort of change the narrative and sort of change the product that everybody out there is buying.
That is so interesting. Just so many things I've never thought of, but that definitely, I know my buyers love the huge closets. It's
Yes,
like as
yes.
long
We
as you
have
have
we
enough
have very
room in
large
the,
closets, yeah. And we come from the glass business, so we have a lot of glass in ours. So we have floor to ceiling windows. All of our condo units, even our closets have floor to ceiling windows in it. I mean, if anyone comes out to Vegas, midtownvegas.com is our website. We have some design renderings on there. But I would love to like product to anybody who comes by.
yes, midtownvegas.com. Check that out. I am hopping on as soon as we get off, and I'm sure they'll put that in the show notes as well. This Okay, so like as far as leadership, how many people, like how many employees do you guys have working for you now?
So, right now we've got about 15 employees for us right now. So Weena and I are the two leaders. Weena's much more in the visionary side of things. I call myself sort of the operational architect. So I'm the person that kind of gets the stuff done and on the day-to-day stuff. But
Okay.
I mean, most of our employees are female as well. We try to encourage,
Cool.
female, leadership and, collaborating with other, women development groups and everything, wherever we can, just to kind of help promote kind of our footprint in the industry a little bit.
Now, is there a professional organization that's strictly geared for women, or is it kind of still mixed?
There's a number out there. Women Development Coalition is one. There are some like subsects within like ULI and some other industries. There's some women groups specifically around like hospitality development and hospitality work. So there's always I think in almost every sector there's at least one or two kind of really good women focused groups that I always encourage people to be a part of and contribute to.
That's just so cool. I love talking to powerful women and how they got there. And now you said that you went to college for business.
Hmm.
What and I was a science major, so it's kind of a male dominated thing. And business is definitely kind of both. Banking can kind of be male dominated. How did you get, what was your upbringing? Were you interested in like construction? How'd you get into all that?
I was always interested in money. So my mother likes to remind me that when I was a kid, I was horrible at math. And they said one day they put a dollar sign in front of the math equation, and all of a sudden I got every answer correct as long as there was a dollar sign. So she always said you were
Love
horrible at
it.
math, but you were great at money. So I think money was always sort of the driver there. I mean, I love being in construction. I love creating. I love to build something that I know is going to be there for 10 or 20 or 100 years later. I mean, there's that certain just kind of pride that you have that you've, kind of contributed something, meaningful to the landscape and to society, and watching people, use it and explore the space. We built the English Hotel, and that being our first kind of ground up development, I was so nervous that it was going to come out ugly. And it's beautiful. The property is absolutely stunning. It's so beautiful. And so when I watch people like just walk through the lobby or enjoy the flowers and the landscaping, I mean, it just warms my heart. I can't even express like how much joy it brings to me and pride to me, to know that I helped kind of create that.
Especially when you hear them talking about it and they don't know who you are.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
And they're like, "Oh, this is so pretty." And you're like, "I did that."
Yeah, yeah. It's nice, and it's funny because I mean Weena actually helps do like a lot of the gardening at the hotel, which you would never expect like the owner of this giant company to be the person gardening. But she takes so much pride in the product and in the property. I mean, we're so invested, of our own time, money, and just everything, all of our energy into, really making this a beautiful product.
That is so neat. I know I do this all the time. I drive around town. I'm like, I sold a house. I listed that
Yeah.
house, and I just see them everywhere. But it must be so amazing just to drive down Vegas and go, I did that. I
Yeah.
mean, that's huge.
Yeah, I mean it's cool.
That's that's just amazing. All right. Is anything, what's your next
Yeah.
step?
So I mean, so Midtown is our next kind of like big
Midtown.
development here. I mean, the English Hotel, when we built that it was kind of twofold for us. One, it was proving that our construction methodology works, right? And that is profitable and it's gonna sustainable. The next goal about that is actually building out Midtown, which actually surrounds the English Hotel. So we purchased the land for the English Hotel, developed that, and then we spent the next 2 years really purchasing land all the way around it. So we have about 4 acres now surrounding the English Hotel for our Midtown development. And then there'll probably be an additional 4 acres around that eventually in the coming years. So right now we have 2 condo towers that have currently been approved through the city, that will be breaking ground next year. And then I have 3 additional towers that'll come in right behind that. So that's kind of the
Wow.
next, 3 years for us is about 5 towers.
Okay. Are you taking on different investors, or are you doing this all just your company, or
This
how do
is
you even, I mean, I've flipped and I've had to raise money and
yeah.
do all the things, but this is like a bazillion times in it.
Yeah,
So
it is. Yeah, I the most stressful part of the job is obviously always the money. But no, it's actually so it's just Weena and I. I mean, Weena and I we're the only two partners in the company. We are really proud that we've been able to say that we can say that we haven't had to
huge.
take outside money. We built, I mean, when we built the English hotel, I sold my house, she sold her house and her condo, and I mean, we put everything, literally everything into, into building it. But we are pretty creative when it comes to, the equity stack to help finance these projects. Again, because our cost is so low compared to the product that it's producing, that really helps in the financing for us, that we're able to get a really high LTV or LTC that we need for that. We were also the English Hotel was the first project in the state of Nevada actually to use commercial PACE lending. So we were actually the pioneers to do C-PACE in the state. We helped the city and the state kind of run through that process. So we use a lot of PACE financing in our construction as well.
Interesting. That's just incredible. You don't have, it's just the two of you. Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive. That's impressive. How did you, because I love to talk to people about scaling. When you did your first deal, because the first one's the hardest,
Yeah.
how did you like, okay, I need however many, like, how do you get to that point? Did you ever do anything small or you just did big from the beginning?
No, so I mean it's kind of funny because when we built the English hotel, the entire like contract for that was smaller than most of my commercial glazing contracts. Like most of my commercial glazing
Okay.
contracts were like 80, $100 million
Wow.
contracts. And I built this 4-story hotel that was like $30 million. It's actually funny that it was so small compared to the amount of work that I had done before. Um, but really, I mean, it was, again, it comes back down to the design. So we designed this so it can be scalable. So I look at it like going forward, okay, a few aspects about our design is that we only have 3 unit types. I don't do
Okay.
multiple unit types. I only keep it to 3. There's a studio, there's a 1 bedroom, and there's a 2 bedroom, and that is it. But again, keeping it efficient into that aspect allows me to scale at a much larger thing. So it's the same amount of time for me to and energy for me to do, let's say, an 80 unit condo, and a 200 unit condo is basically the same because I'm really just using the same methodology and the same footprint over and over and over again. So we
Okay.
designed it specifically for the scalability of it in a larger project.
That's kind of, I mean, on a smaller scale for us with our flipping,
Hmm.
we use the same paint colors, we use the same
Yeah.
finishes, the same
Right.
everything.
Yeah.
And once you come up with those, if you have leftovers, it's totally on a different scale, but I get it. You don't have to think about the details. They're just automatic, and then you can scale from there.
Yeah, a couple of things. We also, like in our condo projects, we only offer one finishing. So we don't offer different fit outs or different finishing options for people. So it's one set of tile, and whatever you want to do with it afterwards, it's up to you. But my favorite saying from Henry Ford was, when he was building his cars, he said you can buy it in any color as long as it's black. And he said that because he knew that if he offered it in different colors, that it would hold up his supply chain out to the customer. He knew that that was going to be a sticking point for him, and it'd be a constraint on how fast he could produce his product. So we basically use that same kind of mindset here, as in,
Yeah.
for me to produce this at this price point for you and in this level of luxury, this is how it's going to be offered. So I know some of the agents really love that aspect. Some of them are, we get some pushback on it, but we found like people really are buying it. People are okay. There really is a market for that, and they don't need to buy. People aren't buying the way they did 30 years ago or even 10 years ago, where they need multiple finish options and 20 different tile options and 6 different types of cabinets to choose from. People are willing to pay for that, and it's such an efficiency model for us to be able to offer it in this specific way.
That's awesome. So then if you're buying a used condo, then you get
Right.
more customization.
Yeah.
So I guess if you want that, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
Hmm.
Okay, well, we are just about getting about to the end of our time, and you've just shared so much. This has been so interesting because I usually only talk to agents because that's kind of my thing, but it's totally relatable to what's on the horizon for us next. And I'm sure as styles change and everything changes, you'll be changing your one finish.
Yeah. We'll always adapt. I mean, we won't
Yeah.
keep the
Oh,
same
yeah.
one forever, but just
Right.
again, efficiency is really the driving force for us, because that's where we're making the most money. And it helps it helps the agents to sell a product that somebody can buy, right? That's the whole, like, you can't close the deal if you don't have a customer that can buy it. So if we can make this more affordable, more people can buy it, it's going to make your job better.
I love that. Well, unless you have anything else to add, I think it's a wrap. And I ask one question normally to agents is what's the one heartfelt thing that you have done? And I guess we can kind of tweak that towards your business is what's the one thing about this that is the most heartwarming to you?
Oh gosh, the most heartwarming to me. Okay, I'll give it in two parts because
Sure.
one like broke my heart and then one kind of saved it. So it was right before we finished the construction on the English hotel, and so the building was up and it was basically done and everything, just like the landscaping hadn't been finished out or anything. And I was walking by the property, two people were riding their bikes right by me, and one person says to the other person, "Oh my God, this is the ugliest building I've ever seen. I can't believe the city like let them build it."
Oh
And I
no.
started crying. I was just like,
Oh,
I was like in my construction hat. I was like, getting to some other stuff. And I just started bawling my eyes. Like I was absolutely heartbroken that somebody thought this building was ugly and I'd poured so much of my time and energy into it. So I got over it real fast. I said, it's okay. Like they haven't seen the inside of it yet. It's not the finished product or anything. And then right after we opened it, so many people have walked through like the lobby and the area, and they say it reminds them of New York. Like it reminds them of like being in Manhattan and like the lighting and we have tons of bougainvillea around and the how lush the landscaping. And again, this is like Las Vegas. Like this product does not exist normally in Las Vegas. And it just like it everything that kind of hurt me from the comments before like completely melted away.
oh,
So and I get this almost every day that I'm on property. I get this heartwell feeling from somebody who likes the interior or the exterior. And so I always just sort of like remember that, like those comments and like how hurt I was by it. And then I was like, what like how beautiful the product turned out. The previous comments mean nothing to me. So that's I think the most heartwarming thing to me is people enjoying that property.
I love that. And I'm just so proud of you. That's just amazing. Just amazing. I can't even imagine building something that big. And I certainly give you so much credit for even being brave enough to do it.
Yeah, I
That's
mean anybody can. I mean if
awesome.
I can, I mean listen, my mom's a school teacher. I mean I didn't come from money. I didn't come from a bunch of wealth. I
Yeah.
mean I just hope that anybody listening to this, that they can take away that you can really make an impact in your industry. And it's okay if people think it's ugly at first because it's going to be beautiful later, but just I mean, you got to take that risk. And it's always going to be worth it.
That's so awesome. Take the risk. It's always worth it. That's probably my biggest takeaway. Take the risk. It's always worth it.
Yeah.
Well, Anna, we're gonna wrap it up. Everybody definitely check out midtownvegas.com. Check out what
Mhm.
she's got going on. Google the English Hotel.
Yeah.
Um, just so proud of you. Thank you so much for being a guest on Her Real Estate Journey. And we will catch you. Thanks for listening to Her Real Estate Journey. I hope you're inspired to conquer your own real estate path. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Follow us on social media for updates and more stories. Until next time, keep shining and make your mark. I'm Lisa Dillon, and this is Her Real Estate Journey.